have the dispute related to special education for a student with a monetary total of $105,000 for the term of 3 years. The board vote to approve the settlement agreement was 5-0 with 0 abstentions. And number 3B, public employee discipline dismissal release, CED 2324-3, information received. And number 3C, public employment appointment, PE 2324-3, nothing to report out. Item number 3D, public employee discipline dismissal release, NRPT 2324-1, information received. We will now begin the meeting with patriotic exercise. And I understand we have another Washington soon here. Yes. Hey, no, please. Would you like to tell us a little about yourself before you say the pledge?
I'm Zoe Quibo. I'm in 5th grade from Washington. My favorite subject is social studies. And my favorite memory from Washington is the egg drop.
Would you like to stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like a picture taken with the superintendent and myself here?
Sure.
Come on over, Zoe.
Yeah, my
Thanks for taking a picture with us. Do you want to stand between us? Correct.
great job.
One, two, three. Let's get one more. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you, Zoe.
Congratulations.
Nice job, Zoe.
It's your chair, sorry.
No. The 2 meetings in a row, Heather, right? Resolution now. All right, great job. All right, now down to the roll call. We have one trustee hearing remotely, so every vote we do tonight will be a roll call vote, but for now we'll do 2 roll call, starting with President Doug Brown,
I'm here.
Trustee Mudd,
Here.
Trustee Ghulam Hussain,
Here.
Trustee Wong,
Here.
and I am present as well. Next is approval of the agenda, and I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Sarah. Roll call vote. Trustee Brown,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Trustee Ghulam Hussain,
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Agenda is approved. Next is the BIS TrueBots.
All right. I'm really excited. Here's the song. I'm excited tonight to be bringing forward our Trobots, which is our Trojans robotics team. And I'd like to bring up to the table, or if you guys are going to stand, I'm not sure which, Ollie, Henry, Oliver, Dario, Alistair, Timmy, and Ethan. And Ms. Fabris cannot be here tonight. And also Ms. Hopkins is here, the other coach. So we're honored to have you guys.
Who's going first? So you just pass that along. And who wants to work the clicker for the slideshow? So you're just gonna aim it down there and then to the forward and the back.
Hello,
That's all. I think you're on.
we're this year's BIS robotics team and we're excited to be here today. Recently, we've competed in 2 competitions, the qualifying competition and the championship in Elk Grove, California. FLL's main focuses are core values, which involves teamwork and inclusiveness, building and coding our robot, and building and innovating our innovation project. Okay, so for the robot game, we were tasked with building a robot and coding it to complete missions that were laid out on a map. We built our robot using the Lego Spike Prime kit. Then we coded our robot to complete as many of the missions as we possibly could. In each round of competition, we were given 2 minutes and 30 seconds to complete as many missions as we could. A mission is a Lego contraption at the starting position and an ending position. For the robot to complete a mission, it had to move the mission from its starting position to its ending position. Many missions had buttons and levers, which the robot had to push and pull to complete the mission. Each mission had its own individual spot on the map where the robot had to drive to before it could complete the mission. Once the mission was completed, we were awarded with a certain amount of points depending on the difficulty of the mission. Up on this next slide is a video of our competition.
Let's get this lovely match started in 3, 2, 1, Lego! All right, starting out early. Okay, we're moving some audience members. It's looking lovely out there right now. We're going, the show off, we're currently moving at the pedestal. We're gonna take, oh, we're gonna take off the augmented reality opened up very early on in the match. Great.
That's a
Great
little
start
clip.
to
Pause it
the,
now.
great start to the line.
For FO, we also have to make an innovation project. This year, we had to find a hobby and then find some sort of problem related to that hobby and then solve it. The hobby we chose was building with Lego, and the problem was plastic pollution. In order to solve this problem, we decided to advertise the Lego Replay program. Lego Replay is a program run by Lego that collects donated Lego, cleans them, and then gives them to schools or kids in need.
This year's theme for the FLL was masterpiece. We had to incorporate the arts into our project. Convince kids to donate to Lego Replay, we created a movie about a boy, me, who doesn't send his Legos to Replay, but instead throws them in the trash. Sadly, these Legos kill lots of fish, and because I regretted what I did, I told my friend Henry here about Lego Replay because he had no idea what to do with his old Legos. To create this movie, we incorporated making storyboards and stop motion.
Also, we made a Lego set prototype that is the plankton featured in our movie, as you can see on the screen. The goal of this was to get people more interested in Lego Replay, because if they donated a set amount of Lego pieces, they would get this reward Lego set.
The third thing that we are judged on in FLO is core values. FLO core values puts an emphasis on teamwork, inclusion, and professionalism. While you're at a competition, the judges will constantly watch you to see how you get along with your team and people from other teams, and they will grade you on how well behaved they think you are. They also ask you questions about your core values. We won first place core values award, which shows that judges thought that we worked together as a team efficiently and had the best sportsmanship out of all the teams.
If you would like to learn more about our project or watch our complete film, then you can go to our website, www.tinyurl.com/Trobots. Thank you to the Board of Trustees and the Superintendent for letting us share about our Trobots experience. And thank you to Ms. Fabris for making our robotics team an amazing experience at BIS. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
You want to start?
Well, I just want to say we're so proud of you and congratulations. What a wonderful experience. And thank you for bringing the Trojans to so much excitement. I know Ms. Fabris must be so incredibly proud of you, and I look forward to watching you guys grow this club next year, because I'm sure with all of your success, there will be so many kids that are excited to join you. Okay.
Do you have any questions? I had a question. So in your competition, you had 2.5 minutes to have your it's like a vehicle, right? The vehicle reach its goal. Do you actually have to program it on the spot within that 2.5 minutes?
No. We spent a lot, and I mean like a lot of time. We had this, as Henry said, we had this big platform with all, just how it would be just like in the competition, all the missions set up, and then we would build and code the robots. So we had everything ready, but we did have to do some last minute adjustments.
Okay, great. They look really exciting.
You guys did great. What classes do you feel helped you the most with this prior to robotics? Math class, science class?
None really.
Are you also in Miss Fabrus's robotics class?
I started the robotics after I joined the robotics.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you, and I know that our high school is very involved with robotics team too. And so I look forward to seeing what all of you do at BIS and then continuing on the pathway too. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Can we take a picture with you?
Everyone.
Yeah.
It would be great if maybe right there, so I can get that in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we put Doug only right.
Put a giant. Yeah, you guys stand in the middle. We good? Okay, everyone look right here first. 1, 2, 3, stay right there. Let's do one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Don't move because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cameras. Done. Right.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Nice trophy.
That is a cool trophy.
I love the trophy. I haven't noticed that before.
Good job.
feel like you're so far away.
Next, item 10, public statements related to agenda items. Have any?
Yes, we do, President DeVoy, and we will hear that one at that agenda
When we
item.
go to each item?
Correct,
You got it.
for those, yes.
All right, union statement from Burlingame Education Association. Ms. Tony, thank you. And Ms. Porter.
But that was a tough act to follow.
I know.
We don't have a slide, and we didn't remember it.
I know, I didn't remember.
Thank you, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Silversmith, for inviting us this evening to provide the BEA union.
You can pull it out too. Just microphone.
Oh, just great. I love a microphone. My name is Claire Coney. This is my 8th year of teaching here in Burlingame. I teach a 2-3 combination class this year at Washington.
Hi, I'm Sarita Fordham Aguilar. I'm the RTI specialist at Washington, and this year marks my 26th year, starting in the classroom and now as RTI.
I'm happy to be here on behalf of BEA members and Washington students and staff to share. This school year has been full of growth and positive changes at Washington. We began the year by welcoming Principal Jaramillo back to Burlingame School District and back to Washington. Principal Jaramillo jumped in with both feet and has been committed from day one to building a strong community. She recognizes the importance of a principal who knows their students and staff well and has made it a priority to establish and build relationships with every single Wildcat. Students have loved getting to know her and seem to recognize that she genuinely cares about Washington School and truly wants the best for them. She demonstrates this care and compassion as she leads weekly school assemblies, facilitates restorative recess games every Friday, and monitors every lunch, rain or shine. The Washington community is very excited for the future and to continue to work with Principal Jaramillo to maintain a safe, inclusive, equity-driven learning environment for our students. Reflecting on our year so far, first we want to emphasize how important the early dismissal at the beginning of the year was to complete assessments. As all teachers know, literacy assessments are such a vital part of our instruction and in implementing quality interventions. The beginning of the year can be quite chaotic, and having that extra time to get to know students one-on-one and assess their reading really sets us up for a more successful year of learning. So thank you so much for that time. We have some more recent updates and changes at Washington, including some exciting campus modifications that have already begun to have a noticeable impact on the entire school. Over February break, the district staff oversaw the installation of the backpack hooks in front of every classroom. The mindfully designed hooks have improved safety and made a huge impact on the West Wing buildings. I can tell you that. I'm there. That have been without hooks since their opening 5 years ago. We're also in the process of having a playground shade structure installed that is sure to provide lots of relief and protection to students as summer heat approaches. The structure will also accommodate solar panels, which caused a roar of excitement when students found out about that detail last week. So we want to thank the Board of Trustees for making these updates possible and are excited for the scheduled improvements, including HVAC this summer.
The Washington PTA administration and staff have worked this year with engaging in meaningful field trips and assemblies. Our first graders visited the Academy of Sciences, where they got to see the rare corpse flower bloom. In December, our second and third graders made their way to San Francisco to see the San Francisco Ballet's Nutcracker. And soon we'll be sending our fifth graders off to outdoor ed. These are just a few of the wonderful field trips our generous PTA has paid for this year. This past weekend, we also had our annual Washington Variety Show with the theme of a night at the Oscars. Students spent the last 3 months planning and practicing their acts, and on Saturday night, they had the chance to showcase their talents on the BIS stage in front of their friends and family. The night was a huge success and was definitely a confidence builder for all the participating students. The kiddos showed up to dance, sing, act, hula hoop, and much more. We also want to take this opportunity to thank the Burlingame School District for the CRLP professional development that the K through second grade teachers just finished. K through second grade teachers have worked with CRLP for the past 2 years to learn about the science of reading and how we can use it to improve our instruction. Everyone who participated was in awe of the detailed and practical information that we learned and greatly appreciated the knowledge and efficiency of CRLP that CRLP brought to our time together. Teachers have been able to implement the strategies we've learned, and many of us have seen an immediate improvement in our students' reading abilities and confidence. As BSD plans our upcoming PD, we hope that they will consider continuing our work with CRLP and extending the opportunity to our upper grade teachers. We look forward to beginning the final trimester and the many fun activities that come with the end of the year. Thank you for listening and for your continued support and collaboration. Thank you.
All right, we will go to item 13, statement of the principal, continuing the Wildcat fever.
Have I agreed on it? Good evening, esteemed members of the Burlingame Board of Trustees and our district leadership, including Superintendent Dr. Silversmith. My name is Alyssa Jaramillo, and I'm the principal at Washington Elementary. I have to say thank you for your kind words as well. There, Rita, I was tearing up a little bit there. I am honored to stand before you on behalf of the principals for the district to provide an update on all the exciting developments that have taken place over the past month. As you may know, this is my first year serving as principal at Washington Elementary, but it's actually my 10th year working in the Burlingame School District. I have a unique perspective on our district, having started out as a student teacher and a substitute teacher, and now I have the privilege of serving the Washington community as principal. And I would like to thank my community and the Washington staff for the warm welcome and collaboration this year. It is building a strong foundation for the work that we have to come to continue improving together. I owe a lot of gratitude to my fellow principals as well, who have supported me as I'm learning the ropes being in my new role here. And it just feels so wonderful to be back in Burlingame. There's been a lot going on at our school this past month and at the other schools in the district as well. And we have a lot of things to look forward to. We want to shout out BIS, of course, for earning the California Distinguished Schools Award, which is just such amazing news. And a lot of us have either just started or about to have our TK through third grade musical showcases. Students have been working really hard to get ready for these, so it's such a fun time to be able to see what's going on in music classes. And I want to thank all the hardworking music teachers as well, because it's a huge undertaking. And in case you guys don't remember, we have the teacher work day on Friday, which I know that it's going to be a really big time for teachers to collaborate and get prepared for report cards that are coming out next Friday on the 22nd. Our schools have received a lot of classroom enhancements, like you just heard. We're really excited at Washington to have those new hooks that were installed, especially on the West Wing. That was one of the first things that was brought to me as principal, is Alyssa, we have to get hooks on the school. And so it's been such a great thing to be able to have what seems like such a simple thing make such a huge impact. We are in the midst of getting our construction started on our blacktop for our new solar panel shade structures, which is really going to be a wonderful way to promote sustainability and modernize our campus. And we're really grateful for the support that has made these improvements possible. And we look forward to the positive impact that they'll have on our school community. At Washington, we just ended what felt like a whirlwind of about 8 days. We had events sponsored by our PTA and Dads Club, including the Wildcat Waltz, the variety show, and the pancake breakfast, all within 8 days. It's been a really busy week. And it's just been such a treat experiencing these Washington traditions for the first time. And I look forward to having many more years of enjoying them. And as we look forward to the upcoming school year, I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage all families to please register now for the next academic school year if they have not done so already. It's essential for a smooth transition and planning for a year ahead. Thank you all for your attention and continued dedication to the success of our district and school. Thank you.
Thank you. Statement of the superintendent.
Okay, just a couple quick updates, since I think a lot of them were said through our two wonderful previous speakers. An exciting update through the California Dyslexia Initiative. We offered to every single staff member, no matter who they were, professional learning around dyslexia. Out of our 298 staff members, 113 completed it and turned it in. So 37.9%. Very exciting. Burlingame School District has also, I've been asked to sit on the San Mateo County Office of Ed School Board Association Night for Dyslexia on the 25th for the work that we have been doing. And shout out absolutely to like CRLP and the other components that we've done to bring the general ed teachers along, because it's not just a special ed thing. So I appreciate that. As a school district, we will also be presenting in April at the SELPA Dyslexia conference. And that will take place with our RTI specialists. They're coming along with me for that one. Today I attended the SELPA board meeting. So for those of you that don't know, I am one of the governors of the SELPA for our county. So there are 5 of us that are seated superintendents that support that. So we worked through patterns of strengths and weaknesses and changing all of our templates going forward with our teachers. And it was a great just learning experience to listen to our SELPA speak about upcoming things coming down from the state too. We also had the honor of Special Olympics. In the fall, Burlingame took the lead and partnered with Hillsborough and San Mateo Foster City. In the fall, we did soccer, and then we just had the pleasure of attending basketball at San Mateo Foster City. And there's one more, so you all have a chance to go in Hillsborough, May 17th, to I believe it's track and field. So they're very excited about that. And last but not least, I do just have to say again, we are so excited for BIS to be awarded again a California Distinguished School. So that is such a great honor. There were 5 in the county. So we are one of 5. So that is it.
Well, thank you. Statement of board members. We'll start with Trustee Brown.
Nothing for me, Dan.
Okay. Trustee Mudd.
Just quick updates. Dan and I had the pleasure of touring BIS together last week, our newest California Distinguished School. So a big thanks to Mr. Land for the wonderful tour. It was great to just see how nice the campus is looking and the kids all doing their thing, even on a rainy day, and classes were just really fun to be in. And then I wanted to just thank Marie for walking us through our last study session. It was apparent how much work you put into it, and all the prep work really helps support us as we grow and learn as a board. So thank you.
Nothing from me.
I was able to attend that Special Olympics event that was in Abbott Middle School, right? Yes, Abbott. Yeah, and it was really, it was supposed to be outside, but it started sprinkling, so they had a second plan, just went right into that gym, and it's actually a beautiful gym, apparently only like 2 years old.
Where is Abbott?
Alameda de las Pulgas, yeah, in San Mateo, yeah. But it was great to see all the students there, and everyone seemed like they were having fun. A very nice event.
Definitely reported then a welcome to Mrs. Baker, the district office.
Yeah, we're not too happy.
Both sides. Next is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a way to consolidate many items considered by the board. Oh, sorry. The board communication, item 16. We'll back up one. Or do we have any board communication?
There were two and they were attached.
They're both attached. So it's, we have received the Burlingame 23-24 first interim report from the San Mateo County Office of Education. And also the San Mateo County Office letter based on the review of our fiscal year. So two are attached there, both for reading.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to item 17, the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a way to consolidate many items considered by the board to be routine business. These items often require approval, but do not need discussion. All trustees have reviewed the items in advance of the board meeting. Members of the board, staff, or public are able to request specific items to be discussed and removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. The superintendent and staff recommend approval of the consent items. Movement of any suggested consent items is appropriate at this time when trustees wish to remove anything from consent. No.
Nope.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Right, roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Next, item 18, our new director of human services, Laura Ashburn.
Welcome, Laura. We're excited to introduce you to the Burlingame community officially as our Director of Human Resources. And if you'd like to say a few words.
Sure, I'm so excited to serve in this position. I have had so many opportunities at different sites to get to know our incredible staff. And so I really look forward to my time here and all the various ways that I can support our staff and encourage them so that they're in turn able to best serve our students. And it's a pretty amazing position in that you get to be there to support people through some really incredible times in their lives. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to step into the role.
And item 19, education, RTI Trimester 2 presentations. Yes.
Thank you. We have Angelique Berry, who's our RTII specialist, who will be presenting or providing an update. As you all know, back in January, we had a comprehensive presentation on the different assessment results that the whole entire team presented. And this is an update following that meeting. So I'm very honored and thank you for all the hard work that you and your team have provided to our district.
Yes, so I'm here on behalf of all of us. And you guys all saw the extensive PowerPoint. So I'm going to go through a lot of the graphs quickly and then stop and chat a little bit as we go. Okay, so we are here for update. The information you're going to see is comparing the beginning of the year to the middle of the year.
The third through fifth grade, sorry, K through 2 was administered all of the DIBELS. So all of their subcategories. Second grade was assessed on all of their subcategories in addition to MAIS. That is part of second grade. In third through fifth grade, students are screened with the MAIS. And then if they show risk, then we follow up with the DIBELS and different sub-assessments based on grade. I was thinking, Wes and I talked a little bit earlier today, and I was thinking that maybe in my next presentation, I can show you what the MAIS looks like, because I think that that is just an arbitrary word that we use, but it'd be good to show you guys. So if you want, I can include like a couple screenshots so you can see what a MAIS looks like. Because we talk in teacher vernacular and sometimes not everyone knows what that is. So I will include that next time. And then the bar graphs that you're going to see are indicative of the composite score. So taking all the subtests and putting them all together for a composite read. These are just reminding you of our tiers of support. The literacy framework that we really like this graphic. It came from CRLP, and this is the way in which we are progressing through literacy here at the ESD. Here are the assessments that are given in DIBELS, and that comprises the composite. We included this last time too. These are the additional assessments that we use that teachers administer 3 times a year. The digging deeper part is what we were trained with CRLP. So that was an as needed part to dig deeper into assessment of risk for a student. Things to consider. I kind of mentioned this in my first presentation, but I didn't want to lean over this. It is inclusive of all students, whether they're an English language learner, a newcomer, a student with a 504, or a student with an IEP. All are assessed. And then in the graphs, I'm sure you've seen BOY and MOY beginning of the year, which was in September, and middle of the year, which was in January. All the RTII specialists assessed from mid to end of January. And we are doing a 3rd trimester assessment. So those are usually conducted end of May. And then hopefully if we can squeeze it all in and turn around the data for you guys, I'll be back in June, if possible. Let's see how that goes. It might be August. So these are the level bands by DIBEL. And then I put them together on this screen to kind of make it a little bit easier. And as you've seen, that graphic is on the bottom of all of them. So you can see intensive 2 or more years below, that is much more reflective of iReady's diagnostic of saying it's 2 years below. Intensive with DIBELS tends to be only about 20% of the students. So it means intensive support. iReady puts on the 2-year, kind of 2 to 3 year at risk, and DIBELS kind of gives it more of a percentage, but still the same intensity of a student. So these color bands, I matched them up in literacy and in iReady for you guys to see. So these are the parts I'm going to click through, but if you need me to stop, please do say so. So Franklin, K12. And then 3, 4, 5, it includes the DIBELS and the MAIS for the composite. Hoover, K12. And then 3, 4, 5. Lincoln, K12, 3, 4, 5. McKinley, this is the English only for McKinley in K12. And then all students, 3, 4, 5. This is Lectura, which is the DIBELS version, or the Spanish version of DIBELS. It is administered in Spanish and they read also in Spanish. They're putting it for K12. And Lectura y cual palabra is MAIS, which word literally is how it's translated. And Lectura is also their DIBELS for DLI 3, 4, 5. Roosevelt, K12. 3, 4, 5. Washington, K12, 3, 4, 5. And then I accumulated all the information. This was super fun. It just meant we were all in a room and everyone had to give their numbers, and then I kind of crunched them so I could put it together in a district-wide format. So here's K1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. And that's Maze. And now we're going on to iReady. I didn't mention this in my notes, but remember that Kinder did not administer the iReady diagnostic in the fall. So that's why Kinder is all blank for beginning of year. So Franklin, Hoover, Lincoln, McKinley, Roosevelt, Washington. We showed this graphic last time of how we do our rotations and how we move in and out. But this is our trimester benchmark, so we just did Tri-2. So this is always in motion, but we are using now the Tri-2 data for our latest conversations with teachers and grade levels. So here's where I was gonna kind of stop, but when we get to my notes, because I don't want to forget what I was thinking when I was driving here. So there was growth across all the levels. The one thing that I wanted to say is I have on here CRLP for the upper grade would be beneficial. And after talking with Dr. Tang, that is in the works for next year. So that is very exciting to hear. So very grateful for that. And the literacy continuum is also going to be continued in TK2 with follow-up from CRLP with some leadership teams. So digging into fifth grade, we as a team noticed that there was a fifth grade need. And so what we did when we digged into those numbers is we noticed there were a lot of EL students, and not only EL, but newcomers. So in the country, really even less than 6 months. So they are not reading at a fifth grade level. So, and fifth grade does not account for any of the supplemental phonemic awareness test. In fifth grade, it's just a reading comprehension and read words per minute. So the intensity is very high in fifth grade, because if you have a newcomer that doesn't have an English background from their home country, this is a big at-risk moment and something that we're experiencing at all the sites. And then the support is always needed. Again, we always like to touch on the fact that we would all love to have a full-time RTII specialist at every site. As you heard last time, a lot of us are split. The research-based newcomer curriculum for upper grades, we are currently piloting with Claves, a program out of Stanford. A few of the schools has started that pilot already this year, and the other half of the schools are starting next year. So, and that is meant for ELs and newcomers. So we're excited about that work that's coming. And then the literacy professional development for 3 through 5 is in the works. I'm super excited about that. And we're still working with figuring out math interventions and how that's going to work, and trying to balance the need of our students in our schools. So that's where we're at right now. So any questions, comments, concerns? And here, what do you need? What do you want? Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, now it's a non-voting item, so please ask your questions.
So yeah, looking at those graphs, I mean, it's pretty clear when the kids are coming in kinder, there's such a vast like array of where they're reading.
Right.
But it's nice to see that it kind of narrows when you get to the first, second, third, fourth, right?
Yes.
But then fifth, you do see, starting to see like the red creeping up.
Yes.
At all the sites.
Yes.
I think it was all the sites. And I know that for like IEPs, you know, often you have the children who are coming in, they know they have an IEP, like when they're really little. But then you also, at least what I remember, is that in 4th and 5th grade, you suddenly get a little bump of new IEPs where this kid didn't have an IEP until they were in 4th or 5th grade. And part of the theory is that the subject matter is just much harder. Like it's just a steeper difference between 4th and 5th than 1st and 2nd.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's been something that's been true for decades.
Right.
Well,
Well,
I'm just wondering, like,
Yeah, so
what,
just,
you know,
I think the one way I always try to remember it, and it's often said, is in K2, you're learning to read. And in 4 through 5, you're reading to learn. So once you have to bridge that gap, and if you're having trouble, if you're struggling, that jump from 3rd and then 3rd to 4th is a big steep uphill.
climb, you know, if you're not already there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Marla.
what are the ideas sort of just in the educational realm of making that transition a little easier? You know?
Yeah, well, so that's one of the reasons we're bringing CRLP in for 3rd through 5th grade to also help support that structured understanding of structured scientific reading. And then also really looking at small group instruction, whether it be push in, pull out, preferably push in, and then rotation of small groups. And then just making sure that we are following it closely and targeting the exact need instead of doing global targets. So it's one of the things that I think I'm very proud of in Burlingame, are the universal screeners and the fact that we really kind of know our students along with our principals, and they look at the data and we're able to help intervene and support at a school level versus sending them home with books or anything else.
Right, because it does seem scary that if a child suddenly, for the first time in their elementary career, struggle in 5th grade, right before they go to BIS, and then you have all the social stuff happening and body stuff happening, that all that together just kind of spells disaster.
I want to also be clear that the kids who are intensive or read in any grade is not indicative that they cannot read. It's just that they're not reading at grade level. I also wanted to, sometimes like you're like, oh, they're intensive, they're not reading. That's not what that means. It's just not that they're not reading at grade level. So, and then also to touch on the moving up to BIS, we felt that very much, like we can't lose our kids, like just because they don't have an IEP or a 504, they've been an RTI student. So we started our articulation conversations with the BIS team last spring. And so what we did as RTI specialists is we all got together and we made a shared doc of students in 5th grade that were receiving RTI services, and for what their goals were, what home language they had, so that when they got to BIS, they weren't unseen. And so the BIS staff was very appreciative and asked us to do it again this spring. So that's also on my to-do list this spring, because I think that's important. We're so lucky in the elementary schools to have an RTI specialist at every site, and BIS doesn't. And so we wanted to continue that conversation up.
That's great. For sure. I'm impressed with the kindergarten at McKinley in Spanish, because half the students there come in with no Spanish for that first test.
Yeah.
So the growth in a trimester is.
Yeah.
It's just important to note that a lot of the students come in with 0 Spanish.
Yeah.
Are there further questions from the board?
Just one, and I'm sorry, you might not know this, but does the ELO-P, when you get to the older grades, so 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, does it start to like target vocabulary, like breaking apart vocabulary?
We just started to talk about that in our last session with CRLP, and it was the K2 conversation, and we actually said we did module 5, we said this would be an amazing conversation for 3, 4, 5, because they could really take that and dig in and really be able to start using that in their classroom. They don't need so much the foundational skills of the first 4 modules, but that piece is the part that they need.
And then plays into the comprehension.
Absolutely. And like all the word parts and, you know, the morphemes and all those things, and the vocabulary and the meaning and it's all this package that comes with 3, 4, 5. And so we actually said that, and Wesley heard us. And so I think we're going to move forward and trying to get some of that good juicy stuff for the 3, 4, 5 moving forward next year.
That was my only question.
I just want to thank you. That was a tremendous amount of data, and it was very easy to understand and read from my perspective.
Thank you.
I know it wasn't easy to put together, so thank you for making it that way.
You're welcome.
And then I had one question for our district office team. Could you summarize for me the correlation, if any, between these scores and the state standards and CAP scores? And because we see the same thing in terms of at level or above grade level when we look at those scores as well, but I don't know if they're valued the same.
They're very different. The ones that we just presented, there are screeners, and then we will further dig in and look at what additional support that we need to provide for students. CAS is a summative assessment. What they provide is after they're learning all the content, after the whole entire school year, how do they score based on the standards that they were assessed around? So they're very different. They have different purposes. This is just to catch them early so that we can provide the targeted instruction so that we can support kids on an ongoing basis. We're looking at progress over time rather than just looking at summative, what they can do at the end of the year. So I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
One thing that I do want to add, Angelique, yeah, we could go back to that one particular slide. I just want to go back to the one with Dr. Shovelbine's.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The literacy continuum. I think that's really important for us to understand in terms of how we are approaching literacy development. And I think it's important for us to understand when we talk about vocabulary, that's background knowledge. When we have background knowledge, kids are able to really understand what they are not only learning, but when we're doing the summative, want to tie into the summative assessment, it is inclusive of a lot of content over time. So when we assess students at the end of the year, we want to look at what they have learned. And so by supporting kids with vocabulary, background knowledge, and all the reading strategies for them to be able to digest text in a way that's going to help them to really build knowledge over time. So I just want to really kind of call that out because when we're thinking about the grades 3 to 5, it is critical for us to focus on the comprehension side of it. And at the same time for the kiddos who might not have developed strong foundational skills, we want to also approach it in a way, that's why we have an RTII specialist. We also want to make sure that our teachers are also pulling small groups as Dr. Silver-Smith had indicated, to really support from all perspectives, from all angles. So just really want to call that out and sorry, I didn't mean to take.
No, I appreciate
take
it.
that away from.
And that's kind of right where we ended with like module 5 with CRLP
Mhm.
is right around that academic comprehension strategies. And because by then you've assumed that you've gone through this
Right.
process, right?
Continuum.
But sometimes in 3, 4, 5, they don't often look back down. So it's like this movement and progression through these areas. So for sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, item 19B, ELO-P Intersession presentation.
Great. We are inviting Principal Von Houston to come up. Before she presents, I want to ask a question to the audience as well as to our President of the Board, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith. I'm sure, well, the question I'm asking is, how many students that you know that really benefited from expanded learning opportunities? I really would like you to kind of keep that in mind. And I also want to really articulate that I was one of those people who really benefited from after-school programs, summer programs. So there is huge impact. I'm gonna turn it over to Katie Von Houston, who will kick us off with sharing student.
Hello, there it is. I'm gonna do the slide slightly out of order and start with the voice of students first. So first, good evening, board members, Superintendent Silver-Smith, cabinet, wonderful guests. My name is Katie Von Houston. I'm principal on special assignment, and I'm here to share with you some information about what went on during the ski week, the February break over at Franklin Elementary. So to start us off with student voice though, to build on Dr. Tang's introduction, the impact that these programs have is not insubstantial. And how do I look over at my friend and she makes it happen. So we gathered some feedback from two folks, a second grader from Franklin and a sixth grader from BIS. So we'll start with my friend Eli.
So we were building Legos, and then we built cars, and then we made robots, and then we made helicopters, and then they fly, and then they move with the computers.
Not for nothing, that was 6 takes in. I asked Joan Mulcairns with doing this, and Eli needed it correct and insisted on seeing each take until he approved of one that could go forward. To frame this next one, this was completely off the cuff and was done in 1 take.
I love this intermediate school because it's really fun and you get to do math and you get to hang out with your friends. I'm not really good at math, but there's a nice teacher that is really nice to me and teaches math. And sometimes she would let us have some breaks. She would let us do Legos and all of that. And I love the playground. I love the school because you get to go to the playground. There's this, which is really fun. I don't know why, but it's fun. And you get to make new friends.
And just to reinforce that Camilla was very specific that math was not her jam. And the support that was given, we take statements like the teacher was really nice, kind of facilely, but relationships is the first piece that allowed learning to happen. And it's clear that Ms. Tiagi made a connection with Camilla that allowed, even in 3 days, some of that relationship piece to come to the front. So now I reverse myself. Can I reverse?
So
Am I going backwards? Yay! All right, just to set everything up and a reminder to set a good base foundation. Supporting the ELO-P Extended Learning Opportunities Program grant supports students who are classified either as English learners, are qualified for free or reduced lunch, or everyone gets free or reduced. So the direct certification or the filling out of the paperwork, or are in foster care. We both support with this extended day through the school year and additional days during intersession and breaks, and address issues to support academic growth, as well as exposure and providing them enrichment opportunities that they might not be able to access themselves. So we went a little differently in the last intersession. We try to whirl at offering some visual and performing arts. Mr. Canto Adams and Mr. Singer provided each student at least one, some two, art, performance arts and music experiences during the quick 3 days. And while we've offered this in the summertime, we decided to try this during intersession, and it was very well received by students, families, and staff alike. We also included a special education tutor, teacher. What we noticed when we went through the students, I go through the enrollment and look at all our special needs students and tasked our RSP teacher from McKinley to support students with special needs by pushing into classes and supporting them. And we offered, this is the big one, instead of partnering with an outside agency to provide the extended day for a full 9 hours, we tapped the excellence that is our BST teachers. And we had teachers that worked from 8:30 to 3. We had teachers that worked from 10:45 to 6. So with the magic of special scheduling and thoughtful hiring, our provision of services was done all internally for the first time. So a typical day, and Maria always reminds me, it's 8:30 to 6. It's not but we always think in school chunks, right? That 8:30 to 3 is the flying quotes typical day. But for our ELO-P students, we offer 9 hours. So it's not an extension, it's not babysitting. It's an extended opportunity to interact with the student and provide services. But in my old-fashioned brain, I just broke it down. We had 15 classroom teachers, and we again went the Legos route, and we'll get into that in a second. You saw the advanced version, but our students as young as TK and K are putting together Legos purposely in pursuit of specific tasks as outlined by the Legos curriculum. We also provided students with special needs, if their IEP dictated it, their one-to-one aid assistance. From 3 to 6, we had 5 classroom teachers and a classroom aide, and I will hold on to that juicy bit of what was offered from 3 to 6 in one moment. So while I'm showing you the average daily attendance, We offered the program to the well over 700 students that qualified. I think the number is 707 TK through 6 students. Of those, 180 students had their families enrolled. The difference between enrollment and showing up is often different, right? And sometimes there's family issues, family matters that take precedence over attending all 3 days. So at 138, I think we clocked a pretty good average daily attendance. So our curriculum is a favorite of mine, and it seems to be a favorite of teachers and students alike. The Lego curriculum prompts students to create and build with Legos. It's not only play, students reflect on learning in a journal, so there's a writing component. They read books that support background knowledge, so that's the reading component. But they program robotic components so that Legos move and complete tasks. You saw again, they named this curriculum, the exact curriculum that they are interacting with at the middle school is what we introduced them to in the ELO-P program. The student work is collaborative, so teams of 2 to 4 students work together to complete tasks. This is part and parcel of the direction that Superintendent Silversmith and Dr. Tang are taking us with, is making sure that our students have access to active learning, to collaborating, working together, verbalizing, articulating their needs. It's not just fun now, it's building skills for the entirety of their learning careers. And here's the tantalizing little bit that I showed you. Tapping into the expertise of the teachers who agreed to, I call them swing shift. We offered art, gym, a book club, and more STEAM activities. And you can see each of those opportunities listed there. What the evening team did is took our after-school kids and divided them by age group, and the groups traveled teacher to teacher. So our book club teacher, Miss Moya, also a Washington teacher, had content ready for our youngest children, TKK, also our 1st and 2nd, our 3rd and 4th, and our 5th and 6th graders. So they matched the need of the students in front of them and kept to these 4 themes. And of course, this is my favorite, but we shall skip this because we started here.
So we were building Legos, then we build cars, and then
so what we've learned, offering Intersession with our own staff takes thoughtful hiring practices. Our new director of HR has been integral in supporting me in hiring staff that can work different hours than they're used to during the school year. Scheduling differently. So how we integrate teachers that are going to work to 6 into the beginning part of the day becomes a little bit tricky. And also allowing our teachers to offer their experience and their passions and making that come to fruition in service of our students. This, of course, is very akin to the extended school day work that is happening in our schools right now in terms of teachers offering programming to kids at each site to support those pieces that I spoke to in the front, supporting academic enrichment as well as providing enrichment. And that, I think, is the end. And weirdly, I didn't put my little question aside. So thank you, board. That is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for questions for board members. It's a non-voting information only item.
I don't have
No,
any
thank you very much. I've been enjoying speaking with you this evening. No, I'm just kidding.
I have one very quick one. You said there was 700 or so eligible?
Yes.
And so but we don't have a cap in terms of, do we invite all 700 or so to participate, or how does
Ms.
that work?
Douglas can speak to the particulars of the grant. The way I understand it to be is you have to offer every single student that qualifies TK to 6 an extended school day during the school year and an additional 30 days of 9 hours of programming. Of those 700 or so, since I've been here, roughly 20%, this time some fewer, kind of take us up on it. So roughly 20% each time I've gone in to say, hey, come on over. that's the number that take us up on it.
So we're not turning folks away, in other words,
Oh,
the
gosh,
numbers that we have, yeah.
no.
That made me think of something. Do you find the same families coming back? Like, is this program retaining
Oh,
families?
The retention is absolutely there. Eli is my best buddy and I've seen him now in one,
All
two,
of
three.
them.
Yeah, all of the programs. There is an email directory, email in our district emails. ELO-P at burlingameschools.org that I monitor. And I always get parents coming, hey, when's those summer days? Hey, are you doing April?
Great.
Hey.
That's good.
So the parents are clued in that ELO-P at burlingameschools.org is a resource for them. They're also not shy at calling Summer at the front desk. And Summer has a little cheat sheet so that she can support them with the basic answers and knows to refer them to ELO-P at burlingameschools.org.
That's great.
If we had a higher percentage saying yes, would we be able to accommodate them?
When the answer in my optimistic Pollyanna soul is always, for February, for a staff of 16 or 17, we had 27 applicants. And so the process for those costs is now closely monitored by processes that have been put into place where I make a request for personnel. And then Ms. Dela Cruz approves it in terms of the funding that is there for it, will pay for it. And then Ms. Afshar posts, we're hiring based on attendance. So simultaneously, we hire and look at enrollment and then decide what our needs are.
Yeah, and
The state has said you shall serve them. So not serving them is not an option.
yeah, do we ask a question to the families that say no, like, why not?
That would be the very next step, and also exploring different ways to access them. So are we, for instance, leveraging Gigi's affinity groups to make sure the parents that attend those are, know that that's available? It is a process of building our own systems, so we are cutting the broadest swath in terms of communication.
Right, but everybody's getting the same letter, the same
Correct.
email, and then we don't know for sure if the people who are not taking us up on it are simply not reading it, or they're
Correct.
just like,
Correct.
think it's just junk or something, or they don't.
Well, when I first started out, I know they thought it was junk. So what I did is I employed school site principals like a year ago. I said, look, I'm not getting any answers. Can you send this out in your parent newsletter? I used school secretaries to say, make sure that parents know that they can come to you to ask questions. So when I realized that the ELO-P at burlingameschools.org had zero cachet, I asked site principals who our parents are used to opening up information from, if they could send the information as well.
Right, to the targeted family.
Correct. Right.
Thank you.
I don't have any further questions, no. You were hoping somewhere too.
Absolutely. I was ready.
Do you have any further questions? Just want to make sure we're making space for Doug also.
No, I'm good, Dan. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Brown. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your
Thank
evening.
you.
All right, item 28, second interim budget report.
Good to go.
The mic. Oh, the mic, yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, it's always on. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to present the second interim budget report this evening. So the second interim report covers the period from July 1st through January 31st of every year. It has to be submitted to the county Office of Education by March 15th.
And the board must certify whether we're positive, qualified, or negative. A positive means that the district will be able to meet the financial obligations for the current year and subsequent 2 years. Qualified means that we may not be able to meet our obligations for this year or the next 2 years. And then negative means that we will not be able to meet our obligations for the remainder of the year or for the subsequent year. If you recall, the last report was the first interim, and that was through October 31st. So first, just give an overview on our revenues. Our revenues are composed of restricted funds and unrestricted funds in the general fund. Some examples of unrestricted funds are like our LCFF, which represents the majority of unrestricted. And for restricted, those are for specific purposes. That includes the ELO-P funding that Ms. Van Heusen was just talking about, some of the learning recovery, arts music grants, a lot of the special education funds, and also now parcel tax, which I will explain a little bit later. You can see that some of our funding sources do come from federal revenues, other state revenues, and other local, for a total of 55.2 million. Most of the changes since first interim are on the restricted side. Restricted revenues, you can see that there was an increase in federal revenue of about 316,000, and that was mostly from our ESSER funds and special ed. Other state revenues, there was an increase of 553,000. That was from the Prop 28 Arts and Music in Schools and also our ELO-P funding. And then that 2.2 million in other local revenue, that represents the parcel tax that we moved over from the unrestricted side. So parcel tax. At the beginning of the year, the parcel tax was classified under unrestricted funds. And because the parcel tax truly is restricted in the sense that we can only use it based on what's described in the ballot measure, it should be classified in the restricted funds. So we changed the classification. The budget amount didn't change. It's still 2,067,000. It's just a plus and minus, taking all the revenues and expenditures from the unrestricted funds and then moving them over to restricted. So it really is a zero effect, but it's just a matter of placing it in the right category. Also, just a reminder regarding the parcel tax, the 21-22 and 22-23 parcel tax reports, they were reviewed by the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. They had a meeting in August of 2022 and then in May 4th, 2023 to review the parcel tax reports. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, I think also it's called CBOC. They report to the board every year, and the 21-22 report was presented to the board on March 14, 2023. And then the 22-23 report will be presented to the board right after the bond audit report is completed, and the bond audit report along with the regular financial audit is being completed and should be presented to the board in April, next month. The enrollment and ADA and our unduplicated pupil count since first interim have gone up. Well, enrollment went up about 2 students. The unduplicated pupil count went up from 673 to 788. So those were the over 700 students that Ms. Van Heusen again was referring to that qualify for ELO-P. They're the foster youth, the English learners are unhoused, and the socioeconomically disadvantaged students.
And also our UPP went up from 20% to 23.7%, which is really good because that also impacts our funding. And the ADA ratio went up from 95.7% to 96.4%. So there's a lot of potential for us to really improve our attendance, and this was just in a matter of a few months.
Marie, is that just folks coming into the district in the middle of the year? The UPC going 115 up?
Yeah, so each time that we certify CalPads and as we receive certifications, we update our data. And they could come in or get certified after.
I see. So they could have started at the beginning of the year, but certified after. Okay.
And that's 788 because it's inclusive of 7th to 8th graders, whereas ELO-P only serves TK through 6th grade.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's 788 total district. TK 3. And the projection based on the demographers report, enrollment is going up slightly every year for the next 2 years. And then on the expenditure side, I know this is a lot of information, but the major change was also related to parcel tax because we had to move all the salaries and benefits and all the expenses associated with parcel tax from the unrestricted side to restricted. We did have an increase in the services and other operating expenditures. Similarly, because we had to increase the Prop 28 budget. So when you increase the revenue, you also have to increase the expenditure. So really it's a zero net effect. And also with some of the carryover from last year, we move it over from the fund balance to the operating budget. Oh, and just a side note, because we still have to present a plan on Prop 28 to the board, the funding and the budget is temporarily in that services and other operating expense, but it will move over to probably salaries and benefits because 80% of it does have to be spent on salaries and benefits. But until we actually have a plan, we're just temporarily placing it in that category. The increase in capital outlay is because of deferred maintenance. Again, we increased the budget from transferring what was in the fund balance. And salaries and benefits is about 77% of our expenditures. Keep in mind that includes when you calculate all of the one-time funding, it kind of reduces that percentage. But if you were to take out all the one-time funds and deferred maintenance, the salaries and benefits really are about 82% of the overall budget. So the bottom line, when you look at our revenues and you subtract all our expenditures, this year, we do end up with a surplus of 1.3 million. This is a difference of about 281,000 since the first interim because of all the adjustments in the different categories. So in the fund balance, we do have committed funds, just like we did in the first interim of about 1.1 million. That is a decrease of 761,000 because that 761,000 that was in facilities repairs, we moved into the operating budget. There's a reserve for economic uncertainties of 2.6 and other unassigned small amount of $970 for a total assigned of 2.6. And when you combine our reserve for economic uncertainties with the reserve that we have in Fund 17, we have a 10% reserve combined. In the multi-year projections, these are some of the assumptions. Again, as a reminder, our COLA went down to 0.76% since first interim, and 2.73. It was at 3.94 and a little over 3% for 25-26. Enrollment's going up a little bit. And then same with the ADA. The ADA to enrollment ratio is about 95.8%. That is in line with historical average. And STRS is staying about the same, no change, but the classified employment PERS retirement is going up every year about percent. Second column is assumed at 2%. Same thing with health and welfare, CPI at 2.8 for next year, and then 2.7 the following year. So the major changes since first interim are the COLA enrollment, even though it may seem like not a lot, you'll see how it does make a difference in the multi-year since 21, an increase in 21 students for next year and 45 students the following year does impact the ADA. It will help increase our revenues. So if you recall, this is the multi-year projection. We're looking at a deficit of 2.38 million for next year and 1.2, almost 1.3 million the following year. During our special board meeting, the projection at that time was a $2.6 million deficit for next year and a $1.8 million deficit for the following year. You can see there's a difference of 251,000 for next year and 541,000 for the following year to the good. And again, the reason for that is the change in the ADA. So you can see how even a 24 ADA increase impacts revenues and our bottom line. So the 24 ADA difference is about 255,000, and the 47 ADA difference is 544. So that's what, that's what the difference is between what we talked about during our special board meetings and then final second. We do have other funds. We have our child nutrition fund, deferred maintenance, special reserves, the building fund, which is our bond fund, and developer fee fund, the county school services fund, which we are closing, special reserves for capital outlay, and then the reserves for the foundation. Most of these funds are restricted, and there are some commitments, which I will explain on this next slide. So the board approved fund designations in the general fund for deferred maintenance, and then also as a safety net in being community funded 1 year and possibly not another year. We set aside $1 million in case there's any fluctuations there. And then under deferred maintenance, the board approved total resolutions of 4.3 million for rekeying, irrigation, and some kitchen. I think I cut off something. And kitchen improvements. We spent 583,000, and we have a balance of 3.7 million starting, and that's the beginning balance of this year. And that currently is held in 2 different funds, some in Fund 14, 2.9, and then some in Fund 14. In Fund 17, the special reserves, we set aside 2.2 million for curriculum, 2.7 for the BCE Foundation, and technology of 350,000, and then the reserve for 3.3 million. In Fund 40, that's where we have our committed funds for turf replacement for BIS in Franklin, which is part of the MOU with the city of Burlingame. And the 2 million we're supposed to do 50-50, and 2 million, I think, covers most of what we are supposed to be saving for that. Oh, and the deferred maintenance plan, we've been working on that, and we should be presenting it to the board probably around May.
May I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
On the curriculum adoption, in Fund 17, the 2.2 million, over what period of time do we expect to spend that?
I don't know when the next curriculum adoption is, but maybe.
Maybe more conceptually, like, is that for the next curriculum adoption, or is that for partly for the curriculum that we've adopted in the past couple of years?
I'm happy to answer some of that. So there's a plan to do a supplemental adoption around phonemic awareness and phonics, K2. That would be a component. Also looking at decodables for all second grade classrooms, so we would be board adopting curriculum. So when we did our first adoption, we typically do it for an 8-year cycle, and then you have consumables that you have to replace every year. But once you use an adoption, you have areas where you see further need. So you have to supplement or supplant. And so after having these brand new 4 curriculums over the last few years, we have found some areas where we need to dig a little bit deeper and buy more curriculum sooner.
Thank you.
You. So what's next? We went through the governor's budget in January. This is the second interim report. We have our March 15th layoff deadline. The May revise is coming up, which will impact our budget development. And then the budget will be presented to the board along with the LCAP in June. So in closing, the multi-year projection does show a deficit of about 2.4 for next year and 1.3 million for the following year. We do have a resolution that's on the agenda next, which is required to meet the 10% limit on our on our reserves. And because we are able to maintain a 3% reserve, we can recommend a positive certification. And although we can meet the 3%, we really need to look at, and I know the board policy is to maintain 10%. So we have to resolve that and figure out a way to get back to 10% in the next couple of years. And with that, I'd like to open it up for questions, comments.
Thank you, Marie. Before we get to that, we have public comment on this item. I believe one written and is there one in person? Are they the same individual?
Same.
Okay. We have read the written comment, but since we're in between board policies, I would like to ask the public commenter. He came here to speak in person. With your public comment, please, sir. You have 3 minutes. Thank you. I'll just note we are familiar with the writing you sent in earlier.
Oh, okay, so you don't need a handout?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, thank you.
So I'll walk you through it. So if 2 weeks ago, I presented my estimates that instead of a $2.3 million deficit, we would be at a more modest $700,000 deficit, and we would be basic aid instead of LCFF. And it's really important to me we get the numbers right, because I don't want something really bad to be a bad decision, like unnecessarily cutting teaching positions, cutting teacher salaries. So that's why I'm really passionate about this issue, to get the numbers right. So in the table I sent, I adjusted the numbers with the edits on expenditures and so forth, and the numbers still come out to 700,000. I wanted to make some comments about supplemental accounting of supplemental tax revenues in San Mateo County, because of course it's different than Marin County and some other counties. Specifically, if you look at page 2 of the handout, in the middle column, you'll recall that Belmont Redwood Shores, 2 years ago, they were LCFF, last year, they're basic aid. So therefore, their supplemental revenue, this year, they're only entitled to 2022 supplemental tax revenue. And their revenue is accounted for in a category on the controller's spreadsheet called Basic Aid School Supplemental Revenue. And then if you look at the little red letters at the top, you can see that it's placed into the secured tax revenue, which is object code 8041. In contrast, this year, our supplemental revenue is in object code 8044, which is a different line on the SACS. SACS, yeah. And next year will be like Belmont Redwood Shores. So our supplemental revenue is going to be grouped together with our secured tax. Moving on, my last minute, I want to focus. This was a page I took from the controller's property tax highlights publication, which is posted on their website. On the bottom graph, if you look at the gray line, you can see supplemental revenue, tax revenue in San Mateo in the last 10 years has ranged from $50 million to $140 million. It's estimated $102 million this year. 40% of that's reserved for K through 12 schools. And the last point's really important because you can see as more and more districts in San Mateo County, this year there's only 6 that are LCFF and out of 23. As more and more become basic aid, the amount that the remaining get increases and we start flipping. So this year we flipped, Cabrillo flipped. Next year, it seems likely Millbrae is going to flip temporarily. And what it leads to is 2026, we're likely to get a very large bolus again of supplemental revenue. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Are there further public comments?
No, there's not, President Deloitte.
This is a voting item, but before we get to that, we'll open it up to board member questions for Marie.
I just had one sort of thing to point out, which is that in the multi-year, so this year we only got funded at 0.76, but the following year, we're also assuming that 2.73, which may or may not occur, right? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. As you can see with cost of living adjustment, there's so many different factors that go into it that it could change depending on what's happening in the economy.
In other words, it cannot get, I guess that's what my point is it's less of a question, but I'm voicing the concern that
goes up and down.
Yeah.
Right? So last year it went up, this year it went down.
And it's not 100% guaranteed that it's going to be funded even.
Correct.
I think what
Yes,
Trustee Guam
not
was
always.
saying.
Yeah, just because it's there doesn't mean that it's going to be passed on to the schools.
Yeah. I know there's nothing we can do about that, but I just wanted to say it out loud.
Yeah, if I could jump in, I think that's an important point is that these multi-year projections are really a guess and a snapshot in time. And a lot of these variables change frequently, and not least what the state does and how the state tax revenue comes in and what they decide to fund and what extra they decide to fund. So along with our enrollment, which I think we have a better view of now with demographic study, but I don't think anyone should, attach too much weight to these numbers other than their, our best, prudent projections as of today of what we expect. And we have to use that for planning because that's the best we have. I mean, that's how I look at it anyway.
That's right. Absolutely.
Do you have anything further, Doug?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Dan.
And then I just have a question, Marie. We've talked in previous board meetings about previous potential revenue sources to include parcel tax changes, supplemental taxes, basic aid. And those are matters that will be determined in the next some point this calendar year. Is that correct?
Yeah, the supplemental property taxes, all that information we usually get from the county around November.
Are there any further board member questions? All right, this is a voting item. Do I hear a motion to approve the second interim budget?
I'll make a motion to approve the second interim budget.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Roll call vote. Trustee Brown. Trustee Brown.
Aye. Can you hear me?
Yep, I heard you. Trustee Brown
Thanks.
said aye. Trustee Mudd.
Aye.
Trustee Guillaume Hussein.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. We'll move on to item 20B, resolution commitment of funds and fund balance.
So this is a formal resolution to designate our fund balance into committed funds. As I explained in the report earlier, there are amounts that are in the designated committed funds in the fund balance. So this is just a formal approval of the commitments.
Thank you. Are there any board member questions on this item?
That's that 2 million.
It's for all the different funds we have in the general fund, the million for being basic aid, and then in the deferred maintenance, we have 1.7 in there. In fund 17, which is a special reserve fund, we have 2 million for the curriculum adoption, the 2.7 million for the BCE Foundation, technology, and then in fund 40, the children.
Got it.
Are there any further questions? This is a voting item. Do I hear a motion to approve resolution 2023-24-19, commitment of funds and fund balance?
I move to approve resolution 2023-24-19, commitment of funds and fund balance.
Thank you, Florence. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Roll call vote. Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Mudd.
Aye.
Trustee Guillaume Hussein.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Item 21A, administration resolution. Is this you, Marla?
Yes.
All right, take it away.
All right. Good evening. Tonight we are bringing forward National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, which is March of every year. And the board, we recommend that the board approve this. As with any resolution, once they are approved, everybody signs them, we send them to the sites. Then we also send out to the sites information with regarding the resolution, books, appropriate age level for the libraries to read, and classrooms. So tonight I am bringing forward resolution 2324-20, March 2024 Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Would someone like to read it?
Somebody have a copy of it?
I can read it.
Okay, Lisa.
Whereas March 2024 marks the 37th anniversary of National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and whereas the Developmental Disabilities Assistance and Bill of Rights Act 2000 (DD Act) assures that individuals with developmental disabilities and their families have access to community services, individualized support, and assistance to promote self-determination, independence, productivity, and community integration and inclusion. And whereas National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month celebrates the contributions of people with lived experience across California and educates about barriers they face in achieving full community inclusion. And whereas approximately 57 million people nationwide have a disability and approximately 615,000 people in California have a developmental disability. And whereas California residents with and without developmental disabilities form strong, diverse communities that work, play, learn, and grow together. And whereas people with developmental disabilities enrich and enhance the communities of California with their strengths, abilities, and contributions. And whereas celebrating a brighter future and expanded opportunities comes with the recognition that many obstacles exist that prevent individuals with developmental disabilities from realizing their full potential at school, work, home, or as members of their families and communities. And whereas activities during this month recognize the importance of community living for individuals with developmental disabilities and addressed how systemic barriers still exist that limit people with disabilities from enjoying equitable experiences and living independent, productive lives with their communities, within their communities. Now, therefore, the Burlingame School District does hereby adopt resolution number 2023/24-20 in recognition of March as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. I don't think I read that adopted part till we adopt.
Thank you. Thank you for reading it. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add?
Yeah, can I just make a comment that if this inspires people, that the County of San Mateo has a Commission on Disabilities, and I'm on there, and we are looking for more people to apply to be on this commission. You are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, and we welcome people who are people living with disabilities, family advocates, allies, to all apply if this is an area that you really feel you could be an effective advocate for. And we specifically have a committee called Youth and Family. So if you're specifically interested in things, related to promoting, more opportunities for elementary students who have disabilities, please apply to be on the Commission on Disabilities.
Thank you, Florence. Anyone in the district office like to add a comment to this resolution?
This is the first time we've brought this resolution forward. Our SELPA board brought it forward this morning too, and also did a resolution for developmental disabilities for the month of March. This is something that I'm proud of, because those of you that know my story, I have a sister with Down syndrome, and I think it's amazing to be able to make sure that everybody is seen in our district. It's proud to have this go forward as a community and as a district. And I'm proud of the work that we have done around students receiving supports. Our whole management team at our last fall management meeting was trained by supporting inclusive practices. I'm talking about removing barriers in school systems. So it was a great training to have.
Marla, yeah, when I read this, I thought of you and Wes, and I've spoken about equitable education. And I thought of Ms. G, our new interim director, as well. I thought it was very well done. All right, this is a voting item. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll motion to approve resolution 2023/24-20, Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, March 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. A roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Golam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving on, item 21B, resolution National Women's History Month. Marla, with you again.
Perfect. Yes, tonight we are also bringing forward proclaiming March 2024 as National Women's History Month. We are excited to make sure that we are validating and seeing all of the people in our district, including all of the female employees and the differences that have come in such a short period of time. So I would offer it up if someone would like to read it.
Okay.
We can
I can,
take turns.
I'm happy to, I can pull it up.
Happy? Okay.
So the most prepared board.
Okay. I guess I didn't read the title of the last one.
Actually, trustee Mudd, there was a suggestion from CBO De La Cruz, maybe each
We all
person
take
could
a
read
whereas.
I love it.
as
Great.
we could pass computers.
We go all the way across.
We do a whereas, yeah,
Right.
each of us.
Let's do it.
take a
Okay.
whereas.
Great idea.
All right, proclaiming March 2024 as National Women's History Month. Whereas women have played a critical role in shaping the economic, cultural, and social fabric of our society through their participation in the labor force, working both inside and outside of the home. And
Whereas National Women's History Month provides an opportunity for schools and communities to increase the knowledge held by our children and our community of women's roles in history and their contributions to the development of this nation. And
Whereas the story of American women is the story of pioneering women who led campaigns for equality and civil rights, advanced professional and educational opportunities, and contributed significantly to the arts, sciences, and humanistic causes. And
whereas the 2024 theme for National Women's History Month is Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, and
Whereas National Women's History Month is both a call to acknowledge outstanding women we know by name and pay homage to nameless women who have shaped our collective past. And
therefore, be it resolved that the Burlingame School District Board of Education and Superintendent, in recognition of the significant role played by women whose courage and vision inspire hope and possibility for today's women to make tomorrow's history, hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as National Women's History Month.
are there any further comments on this item? Well done, we will vote. Roll call vote, or excuse me, you need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve 21B Resolution 2023/24-23 National Women's History Month, March 2024.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving to item 21C, Burlingame School District Governance Team Handbook.
all right. Tonight, we're bringing forward a governance handbook that we worked on as a team at our governance meeting in January. And we have made some updated changes. There was one suggestion from the board to update specifically, let me give you the language, please. Give me 2 seconds.
I can read it.
Oh, do you have it in front of you? Perfect, thank you.
Would like to add, if verbal concerns are shared with a trustee, they may listen, but will share with the concerned person that any information verbally or written will be shared with the superintendent.
That is the only change besides which was everything that was provided in writing.
That's in addition, right? Doesn't take the place of a different statement.
No, yeah,
It's added.
it's added.
And which section is that in, Lisa?
Ooh, give me a second.
Communications, let's see.
It's gonna go
Is
under
it-
oh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Superintendent keeping, the board, no.
Is it hyperlinked?
It's right.
Oh, of course, I can just pull it up in the agenda.
Oh, it's gonna go under handling concerns. President Brown, which is page 10. Under the
Okay.
agreements of the
Yeah.
board.
Got it. Thank you.
It's right now it says report to superintendent. We're just gonna be a little bit clearer there.
What, you bring Bob?
I don't have any other comments.
I don't have anything further to add.
Nothing for me.
Are there any other questions or comments on this item? Board members? It is a voting item. They would like to move to approve the governance team handbook with the amended edit that we just discussed added.
I move to approve item 21C Burlingame School District Governance Team Handbook.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Item 21D, 2024 trustee election timeline and outreach plan update, the informational item.
Thank you. Again, this will be coming every board meeting as we have more information to update. We have scheduled our 2 meet and greets. Our first one will be March 26th from 6 to 7:30. It'll be held hybrid and in person, and we're securing our site. And I believe that Trustee Wong and President Brown will be at that component. And then the second one will be Wednesday, May 1st from 6 to 7:30. It will also be in hybrid and in person. And we are open to trustees attending that one. But we do have the March 26th people secured. And we will let you know the location as soon as possible. We will also be emailing the 3 trustee areas through our email system with a flyer with the specifics of that meeting so that they can join.
So we're not, is the March one, it's in this room, right? Or we haven't.
How to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. It's no longer TBD. It will be at the boardroom at the district office on March 26th from 6 to 7:30. And we welcome anyone to attend in person or of course hybrid. We will have a Zoom link.
And I confirmed with Kirsten that I can do May 1st.
Great. Trustee Mudd will be doing the May 1st one. So we need a second trustee for May 1st. But we will provide that when we get it. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? No. Right, there's informational only. And 21E, 2024 CSBA Delegate Assembly Ballot, voting item.
It's recommended that the Board of Trustees vote for delegates that they would like to see serve. There are 3 vacant seats and 3 candidates running.
Sometimes it's more.
Anyone have any comments or items they'd like to share about this delegate assembly ballot?
It looks fine.
Words of wisdom from the most experienced.
One of the women that we're voting on tonight is one of the women who invited Marla to speak at the dyslexia symposium.
Oh, very nice. You have anything to add to the second one?
I do not.
Okay. Right, Doug, do you have anything on this?
No, nothing to.
Voting item. Vote to approve our 3 votes for these 3 candidates. Someone like to make a motion to approve? It is recommended.
I will motion to approve item 21E 2024 CSBA Delegate Assembly Ballot, the 3 names that were proposed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
22, looking at.
Who's going?
All right, motion is second. We'll do a roll call vote. Thank you, Florence. Thank you, Sarah. A roll call vote. Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Mudd.
Aye.
Trustee Gulam Hussein.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 22A, Human Resources. Item A, approval of job descriptions for district coordinators and confidential administrative assistants. It is a voting item. And with us is Ashford.
Hello. I want to thank the committee that went through these coordinator positions with great diligence and concentration, and there were many positive updates. It is recommended that the board approve the coordinator of office of superintendent and board of trustees, or to the office of superintendent, board of trustees, coordinator of assessment and special projects, coordinator of maintenance operations and grounds, student and community engagement coordinator, confidential administrative assistant to business services, and confidential administrative assistant to ed services.
Any questions? Right, it is a voting item. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve item 22A, approval of job descriptions for district coordinators and confidential administrative assistants.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second? Thank you, Florence. A roll call vote. Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Mudd.
Aye.
Trustee Gulam Hussein.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving on, we've got 5 items here with HR. Item 22B, incredibly long title on this note. CSEA MOU review ER external use of sub-groundkeeper Juneteenth groundskeeper 6-month extension custodian weekend work differential early incentive notice 23-24 concurrent vacation request.
Thank you. We were able to whittle that down actually to
Really?
our MOUs. Two of them prior. So we have the ER, so we had 2 groundskeeper extensions to cover and they have not been board approved. We have a custodial weekend work differential similar to the groundskeeper differential that I shared last time, where Saturdays a 15% increase to their pay. And then a concurrent vacation request protocol, where if folks, if our classified folks request concurrent vacation, there's a way to make a decision about who gets to take the vacation. Any questions?
Question? Okay. I will make a motion to approve this one. Is there a second?
Oh, you're talking, I can read it. Yep. Okay.
Thank you,
I'll
Lisa, for the
second.
All right, roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving on, item 22C, employee request reduction of hours, summary 3-12-24, another voting item.
So we have 3 employees reach out or want to request a reduction in hours, or that I'm going through notice of assignments, we were correcting some discrepancies and the time was offered and declined by the employees. And so as you can see, the financial impact is a difference of 0.25 FTE, which translates to $1,624.73 each month.
Are there any questions on this item? I'll make a motion to approve item 22C, employee request reduction of hours, summary 3-12-24.
I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa. Roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving on, item 22D, resolution number 2023-24-21, non-reelecting of probationary certificated employee.
Thank you. We have 1 certificated employee that we are recommending for non-re-election through resolution 2023-24-21, and we recommend that the board approve the resolution. I will pause as I believe it needs to be read out.
No,
That's not, that's not, okay. So I propose that the board approve the resolution.
Are there any questions? All right, I'll make a motion to approve item 22D, resolution number 20-23-24-21, non-reelection of probationary certificate employee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Florence. Roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. Moving to item 22E, resolution number 2023-24-22, release and reassignment of certificated.
Thank you. We bring before the board a recommendation for 1 employee for the resolution for release and reassignment of a certificated administrator. And we recommend that the board approve this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve this item number 22E, resolution number 20-23-24-22, release and reassignment of certificate administrator. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lisa, for the second. Roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Aye.
trustee Gulam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 5-0. You're out.
Thank you for.
Thanks, Laura.
Are there, item 23, public statements related to non-agenda items?
Yes, there is, President DeVoy.
All right, will you be reading that?
Yes.
Please, thank you.
This was submitted, pardon me, submitted via email by Elaine Cruz Tarango. Good evening. My name is Elaine Tarango, and I am a DLI teacher at McKinley Elementary. I was saddened by the news that our principal, Joy Shmueli, would not be returning next year. She started her time at McKinley during a difficult time. She had to quickly establish new protocols and systems due to COVID, and she did it efficiently. I have to say that when Miss Shmueli started at McKinley, I was nervous about our new principal because she did not have DLI experience. To my surprise, she took the time to learn about dual language programs, and she helped our DLI grow in the right direction. Personally, I have felt supported by her in every way. I have also observed how she has supported other teachers, students, and their families. In my opinion, it is not the time to start over with a new principal. McKinley is a big school. We have over 500 students in 3 programs. It is not an easy task, and Ms. Shmueli has put systems in place to help better our growing school. As we move forward, I hope we can take the time to recognize the hard work and dedication that Ms. Shmueli has taken in leading our beautiful McKinley Elementary community.
Very much. Item 24, board requested items. Any board requested item board members would like to discuss?
No.
Doug?
No, thank you, Dan.
May I ask a question of the
Yes,
board?
please.
Going forward, as we keep updating all of our job descriptions, and we've been doing them on a pretty large basis, would it be okay if we put those on consent?
I had no objection to that, but leave it to the rest.
I know
Can
it's
always
been a
default.
FIGMAT thing, but it's, I do appreciate that we've been doing it, but I'm fine moving it to consent.
Yeah,
Doug?
agreed. I agree.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
And before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'll just note, several of us are in temporary seats tonight, so we may need to make sure we check in with Kirsten to see if our signatures are needed. Otherwise, you get called back to come in tomorrow. That's not good. I've had that happen. So, with that, it only applies to Sarah Florence and myself, I think. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Thank you,
I'll
Florence, is there a second? Thank you, Lisa. Roll call vote, trustee Brown,
Aye.
trustee Mudd,
Hi.
trustee Guam Hussein,
Aye.
trustee Wong.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That's 5-0. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Look, we're done at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, right.